Stay tuned for the biggest fish, the hottest bites, this week here on In-Depth Outdoors. With James Holst.
Look at that. Wow, is that an incredible fish?
And the rest of the IDO fishing team. We're headed to the best fisheries across the upper Midwest and Canada. We'll fish longer, explore unfished bodies of water, and go further off the beaten path in search of the hottest bites in fresh water.
Look at that.
With Cal Schwiel.
What a specimen.
And Joel Nilsson.
Whoa, this is an absolute monster.
This is In-Depth Outdoors.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. On today's episode, I think we've got a pretty cool show for you. Where I'm from in Minnesota, more often than not, if you think about fishing bluegills or crappies, the type of structure those fish are going to be relating to is going to be some type of weed cover. Now, on today's show, we're going to be fishing in western Wisconsin near New Richmond, St. Croix County. And in Wisconsin, they use a very unique type of man-made structure to augment fisheries throughout that state. And they're called cribs. And what they are is interlocking piles of logs and brush that once placed in the lake become communities, just fishing hotspots. Now, they can be a little bit tricky to fish, and in particular, on the lake that we're going to target today, the water clarity, it's very clear. And it's a heavily pressured body of water. So you combine heavy pressure and very high water clarity. Very often the bluegills and crappies that relate to those structures can become very difficult to catch. So Joel Nelson and I are going to share some tips on how to break apart these cribs and be successful the next time you get out on the ice. So stick around, I think you're going to love today's show. Got him. Joel, I think I might have the first decent gill for the day here. I don't even know why I've got my transducer in the water. I'm looking at the camera. Get that out of the way. We're seeing so many fish down there. And the lake we're fishing here in western Wisconsin is so heavily pressured. This is a challenging lake to fish, but because we get to use the cameras, we're able to get really precisely positioned on the structure and present very precisely to the fish we want to catch. Not a bad gill, not a bad start to the day. Just fishing a glow pink and white tubby jig with some larvae on it. This is a 10 panfish lake. You can have 10 panfish in any combination. And I'm gonna keep fish today. Nice start. Now what we're doing is we've been very methodical about setting ourselves up relative to these cribs. And there's lots of cribs in this general area. There's probably about 15 to 20 cribs within maybe a quarter city block off of this point. And not every crib holds fish. You can see that there's some older cribs down there that have kind of fallen apart. Those aren't holding fish. The one that we're on right now is in good shape, and there's lots of fish surrounding it, and they're very, very tight. You'd think that you could fish 2 or 3 feet off these cribs and catch these fish, but that's not the case at all. Very often your jig has to fall within about a foot of that crib to catch that fish. And today, the way we're fishing, the structure we're fishing next to, this is the ideal scenario to use an underwater camera. Now, if you're using a sonar unit, I don't care which brand, which model, if you're fishing that tight to structure, you drop your jig down next to what amounts to a vertical wall, it just disappears. That's just the way sonar works. So most of the time when Joel and I are out fishing, we're using sonar. But today, nothing beats the camera, period. And this to me is real challenging fishing. This lake is heavily pressured. We're in St. Croix County, western Wisconsin, and this is just incredibly pressured body of water. The gills here, they're pretty savvy or they go home in a bucket. So not only is it a challenge to get positioned correctly on the cribs, but once you find the fish, when you can see them with the camera, it still takes some finesse to get those fish to bite. They're no dumb customers. I'm not seeing as many fish, Joel, but they are a little better. A little short of keeping size, but right now, tight to the crib, there's so many small fish, and when we first showed up here, I dropped the camera down and saw a muskie, pretty good sized one. My guess is that, oh, there's the muskie right here. I bet you what he did is when I released that gill, look how fat he is. Oh man, my guess is when I released that gill, he had lunch. You see him down there smacking his lips right now. That was pretty cool. Here comes a good one. I think you might be interested. I think we might have a buyer. Feels like a pretty good one here. Oh yeah. You know, we've got so many gills down there right on the edge of this crib. And there's about, 2 pods that might be only about 6 or 8 bluegills strong that are that size. Most of them are relatively small, but that is a nice gill. You know, it takes about a half dozen holes punched to get your camera positioned right where you need it. You want to be so close to the edge of these cribs. It's so unique. We just don't have this type of structure legally in Minnesota. Occasionally you'll see one that isn't elaborate as this, that some homeowner that lives around a lake might have dropped, but here in Wisconsin, they're just prolific. So many of these lakes have lake associations that work with Wisconsin DNR that drop dozens, if not hundreds, of these cribs. And as you can see, they really become the focus of the fish community down there. There's lots of surface area on those logs as they decompose. You get like a real strong algae growth. You get lots of bugs, and of course that draws the bluegills. And as we've seen today, wherever there's bluegills, then you get fish like muskies. So it's a real complex community down there. And if you can get yourself positioned right where you need to be, within about a foot and a half of the edge of one of these cribs, man, the fishing can be dynamite. It's not easy because the fish are heavily pressured, but it sure is a lot of fun.
Introducing the new wireless PanCam camera system from Markham Technologies. The groundbreaking interface that allows an angler to wirelessly monitor and control the left-right pan of a remote camera from up to 300 feet away. The Markham PanCam system transmits a live video stream via Wi-Fi back to your Apple or Android device, and the free Markham app is even capable of connecting to multiple cameras at the same time for multi-camera on-ice coverage. This winter, take full control of your underwater camera with Markham Technologies' wireless PanCam camera system.
Got him. Good one. Man, I tell you, these fish are smart. They've seen a lot of the best programs from a lot of different anglers. You can definitely tell that. It's probably about an 8.5-inch gill. Nice eating size. This, to me, the challenge of this, trying to figure out the presentation and get orientated just where you need to be on these pieces of structure, is really neat. And it's not very often that I'll choose a camera over a sonar, but this is one of them where that piece of equipment absolutely excels, hands down, above any type of flasher or graph that you could possibly use. I mean, I'm using the LX9, that's Markham's unit, it's camera, flasher built into the same unit, but I won't have that sonar on at all today. What are you seeing over there? Lots of fish?
I'm finding out that not all cribs are created equal.
Not even close. Not even close. What I would do, Joel, is I've got basically a side of this crib. I'll pan it for you.
Yeah.
So the fish that are inside are smaller, so you can kind of see where we're at. If you could get like right over here, I get these bigger fish that run this edge out here on the sand. And everything up inside is small. Yeah. But then everything on the outside edge, far fewer fish, those are the ones that are active.
Notice your crib's a little more open right down the center. That one over there, it's like somebody exploded a Christmas tree or 3 or 4 right all around it. It's just covered.
I'm no crib fishing expert, but I've been out here before. I've checked out a lot of cribs out here. And what we've noticed is you'll have like these really dense cribs, and the fish will use that as almost like a sanctuary when they're not active. Right. I mean, I've taken a camera and dropped it down over the edge of the log, and looked up inside of these really thick, dense cribs.
Like that one?
And you'll have 100 crappies in there.
Yeah.
They're not even upright. They'll actually be laying kind of like at weird angles. And I've tried to catch those fish, it's impossible.
Yeah, it's a fish motel, everybody's sleeping over there.
Right. Well, everybody checked in and nobody checked out. But the fish on the outside edge are the active ones. But you gotta be this far away, not this far.
I'll be drilling a hole right
You're welcome, come on in.
So James is on one corner of that crib, and I'm trying to set up to the adjacent corner. So as those fish come around the edge, whatever he doesn't get, I'll play backup.
There's like 3 of them just eyeballing it. There's another pretty good one. You know what I've done here now is I've downsized. I was using a 1/16 ounce tungsten, that's the largest, and I've downsized to a 1/64 ounce. This is a nice fish, a 1/64 ounce tungsten. Cut the number of larvae down from 3 to 2 just to make for a smaller offering. I mean, we've got bright sun now. I would imagine that the water clarity here is 20 feet, maybe a little bit more, because I can look down the hole right now in 19 feet and I can see the top of the crib. So these fish are very pressured and now they're very selective. So making that small adjustment, just going to a smaller bait, smaller jig, got that fish to eat. You know, when we were fishing those heavier jigs, the fish would come in and they would just nip at the bait, and you hope that the fish would get enough of the bait to get his mouth around the hook. Went to that smaller jig and you can see there, that fish has completely engulfed the jig. I'm fishing that tungsten tubby, and one of the real benefits of tungsten, particularly in this situation, I am fishing a tiny jig, but because it's made of tungsten, it's a lot heavier than if I was fishing the same size jig in lead. So if you've ever tried to fish a 64th of an ounce jig in 20 foot of water, you know how long it takes for that jig to sink. So the tungsten is a huge benefit in this situation. And then what we've done is I've downsized, like I said, instead of fishing 2 or 3 spikes on the lure, I went to 2. One of them fell off now in that bluegill's mouth, but just went real micro on the offering. And then, as you can see, instead of just nipping at the baits, that bluegill completely engulfed it. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fish just that one remaining spike to see if going even just a little smaller makes a difference. But you can see now that, I mean, it's a game of inches with the positioning. You might not come out here and catch an 11-inch gill, but part of the fun, part of the strategy of fishing this type of body of water is it really takes a very fine attention to detail to be successful. Oh, I had a fish just vector right in on that jig with that single larva. I set the hook and missed him.
Here we go, working one. Working one. Boy, he's just fixed on it. Yep. Oh, geez, it's been just crazy trying to get these fish to bite. They have not been very willing. And that's not a great big fish by any means, but it's a step in the right direction because I've been struggling. James has been on some fish. He's got a good crib going. This one's just a little bit small. We're gonna let him go. James has got a hot crib going, and I came in and dropped the camera, pushed all the fish out, and I pushed James out.
I'm not talking to you right now.
What was that?
I said I'm not talking to you right now.
Well, you're doing just fine on your own over there. I think you're starting in on a new hot crib, are you?
Well, what I noticed was the algae on the logs got knocked around pretty good. The water clarity on that crib you're sitting on right now, it's way different. It real reduced.
Sure.
Very cloudy water. So
yep.
I just figured I'd come over here and try a different one. I mean, I'm sure there's fish still over there. Obviously there is.
Yeah, there's still a lot of fish, and I think that's starting to settle out a little bit. You know, getting those cameras in there and rattling around, it's inevitable. You're going to hit a branch. You're going to hit bottom. You're going to disturb them somewhat and somehow. And the trick is just giving them a little time to settle down, and no fast walking up on top of the surface, no running around, no loud noises, no augering. It just takes a little time for them to calm down and get in the mood to eat again.
Delivering power on demand with the push of a button. The new 50-volt lithium laser from StrikeMaster is capable of making short work of as many as 56 holes in 24 inches of ice on a single charge. Featuring many of the same components found in all of StrikeMaster's power augers, the lithium laser cuts no corners and delivers uncompromising durability. This winter, don't settle for anything less than the dependable StrikeMaster lithium laser. Ice fishing's first full-power, high-performance electric ice auger.
Ooh, I got a good look here.
I got him. I got mine, buddy.
Yep.
Double, huh?
Double.
Nice. Oh, yeah, here we go. That's a nice fish. That's an 8.5, 9-inch gill.
Ooh.
How's yours? Ooh.
This one feels a little nicer. And he is.
Oh, you outclassed me, sir.
You know, you see a couple of these on the camera and they look good, and then you see one that comes along like this, and he looks really good. Definitely a different class of fish.
That's a nice fish, bud. I don't even want mine to be seen next to that.
This is what we've been after. Beautiful fish.
You know, we're 45 minutes from the metro here. There's just not many places you can go this close to that many people and catch such quality fish.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, like you said, pushing 10 in length and just a thick-bodied fish. Well, I tell you what, James, I think a fish like this is probably going to go back for me. I don't need to keep fishing.
Deserves a pass from me.
Yeah, absolutely. So there he goes. Ah, it feels good putting fish like that back. Not as good as catching another one.
With warm hands.
You're right.
Yeah, here he comes. Come on. Got him. I tell you what, this is where taking the time to really get set up just perfect makes all the difference in the world. I mean, first hole was there, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. I mean, just dialing it in. I'm right on the corner of these cribs, which is where I always like to get positioned.
Nice.
Not a bad fish, not a bad fish at all. I'm keel hauling him now, and that's about 4 in about 2 minutes.
Nice.
He's staying with me. But the switch now to that 1/64 ounce jig, the small one.
Yeah.
I found this before, the last time I fished here. You got these cribs are square.
Right.
And very often you get along the sides and you'll get fish that swim through, and for whatever reason, just the junctions. I think it's just because you got more activity. You got
Right.
fish coming from both sides.
Yep.
If you can get right on that corner.
Intersection.
Perfect.
Yep. Well, I'm going to retie.
More coming through. I tell you what, if you're a bluegill fisherman, this is what it's all about. Being able to use the camera, get them pinpointed right on the piece of structure, see them eat. There's just something about that. I love fishing with the flasher. 9 days out of 10, that's what I'm using. But in this situation, it's the perfect tool. Man, there's fish down there right now. Come on, guys, how about a little friendly competition? Who can get it first? There he is. Guys watching probably think I'm crazy for setting the hook like that, but if every fish you caught was within about a foot of a branch, you'd do the same. Well, that's a nice fish there. Heck yeah, beautiful gill. All right, you know, probably won't get any absolute giants today, but if I can come out of here with a mess of 8.5 to 9.5 inch gills, I'm gonna be a pretty happy guy. You know, for being as close to the metro area as we are here in St. Croix County, this is a pretty nice gill. And there's a reason so many people come out here. Now, I love using the underwater cameras to catch the fish. What I don't like is seeing all the pop cans, beer cans, Copenhagen tins. That's kind of the sad thing when you're fishing these underwater cameras. You get to see all that kind of stuff. Didn't you catch your last fish over a Skoal tin?
And a Mountain Dew can.
And a Mountain Dew
That
can.
was the hot combination for a while.
Nice touch.
Craftsmanship and precision are just words until you add driving passion and a knowledge of what defines rod building excellence. Tuned up custom rods are built with a perfect blend of rod balance and action. A truly custom experience achieved only with the highest quality materials, from the handle to the last guide and every thread wrap in between. It's these components, along with an attention to detail, that makes our custom ice rods a tuned up custom.
Got him, Joel. I got that good one. Guy gets a little excited when you can tell that it's about an inch and a half bigger than the other fish down there.
That's clutch performing right there.
Ooh, it's every bit of what I thought it was going to be.
Nice.
Yeah, what a beautiful gill. You know, usually you got to drive up north to catch fish like that.
Man.
We drove east. Oh, look at this, just barely hooked, just right in the toop. Nothing, nothing there at all. I'm going to take some time to show the difference in the jigs that we've used today. I think once you see them side by side, you'll really understand the difference in size and why it's really kept us on fish today.
Right.
I mean, right away this morning they'd hit just about anything, but right now the smallest tungsten's where it's at. So I'm going to put him on the ice. Okay, just to kind of elaborate a little bit further, one of the adjustments we've made is we've gone from what amounts to the largest tungsten jig that VMC sells, that tungsten tubby, to the smallest. And boy, you can really tell once you get them in your hand to really see why these fish react so differently to a jig that doesn't weigh that much different. We started out this morning fishing the 1/16th, which is the one on this side of my hand. And right now we're fishing that 1/64th. If I had my choice, I'd fish that larger jig every day, twice on Sundays. But the fish really get to dictate what we do out here. And downsizing to that 1/64th, not only is it a smaller profile, but the sink rate is so much different. That 1/16th just falls like a rock, where that 1/64th, you get a little bit more of a flutter, hover action to it. And you can just see by how the fish react to it on the underwater camera. When they're negative and they see a bait that they don't like, they will literally just swim away. But when you do something they like, they'll stick their fins out and they'll vector right at it in an upward plane. And that's when you know that that fish is going to come in and take a bite. Miss one?
Yeah, I got another one cooking right here.
Cooking and looking.
Oh, he's just mush-mouthing it. He's just sitting there, almost like a goldfish, breathing on the bait. That don't get it done, buddy. Come on, you gotta put the whole thing in your mouth. Ooh, we got competition. Got him.
Nice.
So when I said we got competition, that's when that one hit. It took this gill that long to double clutch that bait. If I could give one tip to bluegill fishermen, it's to let them hit once, give them a few seconds, and then you'll see another bite set the hook. You got one there too.
Yes, I do. I think it's a pretty good one. Oh yeah, pretty one. So many fish like this today. You know what Joel and I have found is we basically wear out a crib. You catch 6 to maybe a dozen bluegills off a crib, and that activity, fish biting, fish fighting, seems to scare off the rest of the school. So you can't fish a crib indefinitely, and you'll still see fish in the crib, but what you've done is you've caught the fish that are willing to feed at that given time period, and it's time to move on. And the way Wisconsin places these cribs out here on these lakes is they do them in clusters. So if you find like the point we're fishing now, there's 15, 20 cribs here. Not all of them will be holding fish, but they won't all be on just one crib either. So we kind of bounce around, and it doesn't take very long using these cameras. I mean, there's no doubt. You might go 2, 3 holes, scan around, look for a crib. You can see a crib off in the distance. It's very easy to see if there's fish holding on it. If you don't see any fish, obviously you just move on to the next one. So very cool game plan and approach to catching some really nice gills on an incredibly heavily pressured lake.
Here we go. Got him. Yeah. Yeah.
We got him. Lots of gills this side today.
Got him. That fish inhaled it.
This is too much fun.
This crib is stacked with fish.
Well, we're starting to lose our sun angle. We've got the sun going down on the horizon behind me, which means we don't have a lot of light penetration anymore. So the cameras become less effective. Sure, we could turn on the lights, but we've caught enough fish today that we're probably just gonna pack it up and head home. And Joel and I had a fantastic time out here on the ice, and we really hope that we're able to share some techniques and some ideas on how to fish this very unique piece of structure that is the crib. You know, and some guys will say they don't like to fish bluegills or panfish. I think they're crazy, because this bite specifically, using the underwater cameras to sight fish these big bluegills in that tight cover is just so much fun. If you've never tried it, do it. Over here in St. Croix County, western Wisconsin, there's a number of lakes just like this. They're perfectly suited to get in on this type of bite. So from Joel and I, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
For more info on the latest fish reports, gear recommendations, and hottest techniques, connect with us online at indepthoutdoors.com or follow us on Facebook at InDepth Outdoors. And if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to let our sponsors know.